Welcome back to Crown's Crypto Cave, and hey, hello, happy Wednesday. You made it all the way to Wednesday, and it's been quite the week so far in cryptocurrency land, Bcash drama, all that sort of good shit going down. And you know what? Before I forget, today is a very special day. Announcement for today's live stream. We'll be joined by good old Crypto West from Twitter over there, an actual trader himself. So I'm really looking forward to speaking with him. And without further ado, let's get into the live scene right over here. Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. As always, the daily to start off with, and of course, you know, I sound like a goddamn broken record, but hey, as long as you're above 6150, don't really want to get too damn bearish. And by the same token, this chart does not look the most happy of all time. But again, you know, just kind of to mark off the most important areas to be aware of. Of course, we still got this guy and then this guy as well. I am not looking at this as a major descending triangle. I'm not looking at it as a falling wedge. I'm not looking at it as anything, although it, you know, it does kind of have that shape right now. I want to be very, very adamant in that. I think people who are trying to fit their biases on this chart right now are doing just that, just fitting their biases on this chart. We have the volume signature and we have the price action behavior of something that is not consistent with any of those things going on right now. I think that we are completely forming something 100% new over here. And essentially only time will tell, but the big levels still can be relied upon. So 6150 for the downside. If you break that, very likely going much lower. By the same token, if we do, and sorry, I need to say that if we close a daily dildo below 6150 on heavy volume, that would be what I'm looking for. By the other side of the token, well, what would I be a little bit more excited about? Well, if we could blast above this overall resistance trend line right over here around 6500, it's actually that low now, just kind of our prior high actually at the current moment in time is around 6,500. Even, you know, if Bitcoin can get back above there, well, then that would be the first time it's actually gotten above this this resistance trend line in the last over 11 months now. And again, you know, I'm looking at this and I'm not necessarily saying that it's a descending triangle or anything. Again, I want to be very, very adamant about that. But if you can do something that you haven't done in the last 11 months, that would be a change of behavior by the definition of it. Would I be getting like full on long on top of that? Not necessarily. I think it would be worth a long, as I don't see anything stopping you from this area right over here, right around 6750, and perhaps you even do consider that a higher high nowadays. I mean, it's that fucking close now. It's, you know, only a couple $100 away. Then above there, the next area, the next big area of interest would be right here, about a little under 7,000, which is also your purple 200 exponential. Moving average on the daily dual time frame. We've been living under that for quite some time. So again, just, you know, something that would be new. Making a higher high above 7,350 would make me very interested. Making a higher high above 85 or about 80, yeah, about 8,000, we'll call it, would make me extremely interested. And above 10,000, I would be saying, all right, don't really think that that is likely that we go any lower than the current lows. Again, though, with each and every hurdle passed, I'd become more and more, you know, more and more confident that that it's less likely, it diminishes the case of creating lower lows. Now, of course, I say all that, and we are much closer to the overall support of this bitch than the overall resistance of this bitch. So when it comes down to it, we need to go down to the lower time frames to kind of do a dissection on the price action right now. And Bitcoin actually doing, well, pretty much exactly what we said last night. Again, not saying this to sound arrogant or anything like that. I'm saying this, I'm showing you this so that you can do it yourself and you can recreate this yourself, and then you can be a fucking trader too if you want. Or maybe you already are, and you're already getting this anyways. So fair enough. We broke down below about 63.30 last night. We spoke about that on stream, how we were likely to kind of revisit 62.50. We have since revisited it, and now I believe we are putting on bullish divergence on the 4-hour? No, we are not. No, we are not. I mean, unless you're going all the way back to this point over here, but I'd say that I'd make the argument that these are unrelated. In fact, you're kind of making a continuations head and shoulders over here, which we'll talk about in just a second. But I do believe that you do have some bullish divergence on a 3-hour. Yes, you do. I like how you're rejecting the more critical zone down here. So I do think that the short-term direction probably does pop back up. Do we take a formal stab at 63.30? That would be nice. And these ranges are so damn tight. You know, I could really put another horizontal right here, and honestly, that is the way to do it. It's just at this moment in time, you know, things are so damn tight. So I don't want to get like too convoluted with the horizontals here. So I'm just going to take this off. Obviously, that's our next resistance, 63.10 essentially on GDAX. But I think if things were to really start to play out, especially when you got these, when you got the Stokes kind of rejecting the more critical zone crossing up, I do like that as well. I think that it's a little bit more likely that you do take a formal stab at around 63.30-ish area right over here. Overall, though, range is extremely tight. That's kind of the big news right here. 4 hours not giving you any sort of bullish divergence. So again, pressure is down in higher time frames. Have nothing have changed from the higher time frames. They all look, they all look the same amount of bearish as they did, just a couple of weeks ago. Living below all major moving averages right now on the daily right here. The daily 21 was the big tell, so to say, for Mr. Bitcoin over here. Giving it up so easy, testing it once and twice, reject, and then down, resting upon our next horizontal right here. And like I said, I think that the short-term direction probably does come back and retest this area right here. It would kind of retest the neckline if you are looking at this as some sort of a head and shoulders. Again, continuation head and shoulders are rare, but they do happen. They do happen. So so going down back into the lower time frames, let's kind of see if we can figure out some measure moves on this bitch and plot them out. And you know what, first things first, let's actually do a let's do a little bit of a dissection over here. So let's actually go through and plot out the other supports now below 6100. So we're going to do this guy right here, 6800 essentially, and then we got this guy right here at about 5550. Do we have another one somewhere in there? You could make the argument that you got this guy right here as well at around 6050. Okay, so now let's actually go back and see if we can find any measure moves that align with these guys. So first things first, we did have a continuation head and shoulders right here. The volume was right, the shape was right, everything looked right, it acted like one. I mean, it's very fucking droopy. So let's make a measure move on this guy first, and oh, there we go, it's pointing us right down exactly to the 6150 level right here. So very, 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 very important, right? When it comes down to it, yes, I do look at this as likely to kind of get down there, but again, like we kind of started this stream off, probably in the more closer time frames, probably more likely to take at least a stab to 6310, and I would say 6330 would actually be pretty damn likely as well to kind of retest formally that neckline as you typically do. And as long as you're below 6330, I lean towards this happening. To make it very, very clear, as long as you're below 6330 and closing like hourly dildos below there, I do lean towards this actually happening. So now we actually are creating an even bigger continuations head and shoulders from top to bottom right here now. So let's kind of apply this down, and this one has not been confirmed just yet. It has not been confirmed at all. So let's go back and whoops, can't even get it straight over here. My God, man. And this would be pointing us towards about 5960-ish area. So that actually doesn't line up with anything else that I have over here, unless you're just kind of taking this prior low right over here. But fair enough, and so that makes me think that it's a little bit less likely to be, something to be aware of, or something that's, going to happen. The first one seems like the more likely scenario that we just plotted out. So that would have a measure move around 6150 again. 6150 again being that critical area, in my opinion, that as long as you're above there, don't really want to be getting too damn bearish, but the second that you break it, I think that you're going to likely find yourself over time at around the 4,000 level and perhaps lower, which we can talk about a little bit later. Anyways, looking at all of our oscillators over here, daily Stokes still taking a fucking nosedive. No signs of slowing down, just yet, gaining momentum actually. Speaking of momentum gained, RSI getting deep into the bear zone right over here, living well below the exponential. Again, I do think that we might have a little bit of a small bounce here. But again, direction's down. Am I taking longs of this? Fuck no. All I'm doing right now is I'm doing the same thing I've been doing for the last couple months, just playing options. Again, if you're interested in learning how to do options, definitely check out the link in the description of this video. You can learn the bingo board over here. You guys have been watching this position just every day, just the money train. I fucking love it. That's what I love about options. A lot more easy on the soul. It's just I've been able to fucking sleep at night, and for me, that's sort of where my professional background does actually directly come from. So I'm much more comfortable trading those. It's a little bit less, intensive. It's if you like the rush of trading, it's probably not as sexy to you. But for me, I like I like having like a nice chill life. So that's very important. So I'm cool with kind of going with that. That's my streamer account right there. Again, you can see even with a very small amount of capital in my streamer account, you can produce, a respectable amount. relatively daily. So that's kind of what I'm looking at over there. Jesus Christ, man, I'm just looking at a Bcash just got absolutely fucking cream pied last night, and we'll be talking about that in just a second as well. But overall, you know, higher time frames not looking too hot over here. Let's go down to the 2 hour and look at our oscillators. 2 hour Stokes just getting started up. 4 hour Stokes still kind of coming in this region. I want to see it reject this critical zone right here, and then I'd be pretty damn confident that we're going to take a stab towards the 63.30ish level that we spoke about before. But again, you know, the fact that we don't have any sort of bullish divergence up to, you know, above a 4 hour makes me, you know, hesitant that this is going to be a full-on bottom, especially when you go to the higher time frames. It just, you know, the picture just gets a little bit more bleak. And we have some very, very important things to be aware of tonight. Okay, so this is your 2-day dildo chart right here. 2-day dildo, Stokes over here turning back down again. If we kind of break the low of this guy right here, and this is not like real technical analysis, but this is just, you know, things that I've seen in the past, like, you know, when you kind of consolidate this area right here and you can see that it's tightening up and then you actually like break it, that's, you know, whether it's a high or low on the Stokes, that typically does lead to your actual range being broken. Again, that's just, you're not going to find that in a textbook anywhere. That's just, you know, what I've seen in my experience. Two-day RSI getting into the bear zone as well, taking its first, taking another dip back in there, consolidating between the neutral and the bear zone. So to me, this is more than likely a bearish consolidation. Living below the exponential as well, don't like that. And overall, you know, you have the 2-day dildo death cross here, living below all major moving averages right here. Again, the big tell was when we identified, I believe it was exactly 1 week ago, the rejection of the 20-minute exponential right here with that nice shooting star dildo. Again, all this is low volume action, but when you put it all together, you know, to me, this kind of looks like a very fucked up flag off of this big down right here. And we're just kind of we're actually like seeing continuations right now. Let's go over to the 3-day as well. What do we have on the 3-day? 3-day is very important, and this is something that we need to be very, 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 very cognizant going into tonight, as the 3-day dildo will be closing at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So if it does close below the 200 exponential, which is around 63.10, and remember that was our next resistance from the horizontals. 63.30 would be obviously well above that, but 63.10 was the next most pertinent one. Although I don't look at that as a strong resistance, but if we close tonight's 3-day dildo at 8 p.m. Eastern time below this 200 exponential around 63.13 on GDAX, and I'm sure it's about the same on Stamp as well. Then you're gonna have one of those opportunities to both open and close a 3-day dildo below the 200 exponential, which we have not done ever in Bitcoin's over 10-year history except for 2014, and just kind of show the importance of this guy right over here. You know, again, it was right here. Once you started both opening and closing dildos below that, that's where things got bad, you know, so to say. And once you started doing the opposite, closing it above, that's where things got good. So again, you know, to me, that is the most important thing in the next 12 hours or so, or 24 hours, however much time we have left in the day. I don't even know. But again, you know, to me, this 200 exponential has been holding Bitcoin up for the last half year. You know, each and every bounce getting weaker and weaker. You know, this first one was 2,000, 1,500, 250, and this last one was about, you know, 125, 150-ish area. So again, you know, the second that you both open and close a dildo below this 200 exponential is a confirmed kill, in my opinion, of that moving average. Swapping the 10 simple for the 200 simple, you can see that we are already respecting this area as resistance, and we've been respecting it for about a month now, actually, almost a full month now. So again, not fucking good. Going over here to the weekly, let's go check out what the weekly says and put back on the 10 simple and just kind of do the daily check-in on the weekly. Again, these moving averages gaining momentum away from each other, not fucking good. Living below the 10 simple, getting rejected all the way through after this bearish engulfing dildo right here that we put in a couple months ago. So again, you know, this is the time to be defensive, in my opinion. It's not, you know, if you're looking to buy at yearly lows because it's been support for the last, you know, 6 months, I would say that's, you know, the time to be doing that was over here when you're getting nice bounces. Each and every bounce getting weaker is not, you know, that's not really a positive sign, to be quite honest. So again, I'd be very, 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 very careful. Let's go check out Bcash over here. Bcash has been pretty damn interesting recently, as we have been speaking about. We spoke about it last night, that it was in essentially some sort of a bear flaggish formation right here, and it looks, oh, whoops, I already have it kind of done out over there. And to me, it looks like it's already played out. You know, again, this was actually, that was capitulation, what we saw last night with Bcash. This move right here, as soon as you broke the bottom support of this, I mean, this was like a 20 or 30% move down in the span of about 30 minutes. Yeah, about almost 30% moved down, and then you actually revisited those lows. This might actually not even be done. I mean, typically you don't want to revisit the same fucking low, you know, twice. You know, and almost make a lower low. That's pretty fucking crazy. Right here, right now, looking to me like Bcash trying to, you know, it's trying to flag out, but I this might actually not even be done. So this is what capitulation could look like. But again, the fact that it's kind of finding some droopiness over here, a lot of bearish divergence on your lower time frames right now, as well, makes me think that you might get another pop back up into this region over here. But overall, this thing might not be done just yet. So again, I'd be very, 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 very careful with this asset right now. If you're thinking that this is bottomed out just yet, I don't think we have enough evidence just yet. And with the actual event of the fork happening tomorrow, I believe it is the 15th, you can bet your fucking ass that there's going to be some price action to go alongside that. Now, here's the thing. With Bcash, the fork is kind of unique in a sense that there's two different chains, and one can essentially die, from what I understand. Now, I'm probably getting the specifics of this wrong, so please feel free to correct me in the comments. I'd really, really welcome that. But what I really want to get out there is the practicality of it, in that there's actually a chance that whichever chain loses out will literally go to zero, like actually zero, because it'll no longer be viable, essentially. I was listening to an interview with Craig Wright last night on Dr. Craig Wright, Dr. Wright on Whale Pool, which was just a fucking, it was kind of embarrassing, to be honest, man, because like they just couldn't even fucking have a conversation, man, without just talking over each other. It's just so silly. Really, 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 really embarrassing. You know, I like a few guys over there at Whale Pool, but it's just like, come on, man, you couldn't just let the fucking guy talk, and you know, let's just let the marketplace of ideas win out, rather than trying to force someone into like some sort of silly box. Anyway, so overall, I don't think that this is quite. I don't think it's probably bottom just yet. Let's go look at the actual dollar pairing. We spoke about yesterday how it's likely to go back to about 475, and did it? Oh, did it? Did we get all the way there? No, we didn't. We got all the way down to 500. So this is the thing. There's so many discrepancies between these exchanges. So Bcash on BitMEX is only going to be one chain. Bcash on Finex is incorporating both chains. So it's represented in the price right now. So does technical analysis go out the window? Actually, it's not as applicable here. It's not as applicable here at all. So again, we can't really relate these two things, and you're actually going to see major discrepancies between an exchange like Finex and an exchange like BitMEX. So if you are looking to kind of chart those two things out, I wanted to show that quickly, that it's a very delicate situation, very unique situation, and one of those things where it's just like, you know, this is gambling more than trading, in my opinion. You can use technical analysis. Yes, the higher levels are still being respected. If you shorted this level right here, like we spoke about, you know, weeks ago, you'd be fucking phenomenally well right now. But to actually look at, you know, like divergence on a lower time frame, or like, you know, your silks are getting overbought over here, it's like, no, that's not gonna fucking work. I'm sure a lot of people are getting like overbought signals right over here, you know, and oversold signals right over here. Doesn't fucking matter. When you're in an event, things will move, and things will move very, 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 very violently, as you've seen. So overall, I don't really think that this thing is worth like trading, unless you just, you know, you might just want to go to fucking Vegas and do the, you know, all on black type shit. Overall, though, you know, if you are looking at your higher levels, I'd say a little bit more. I'd say a little bit more concretely, you could be using this range right here between about 555 and 545 as your resistance area, your next kind of block. By the same token, you have an obvious support right here along your 21 around 518. I would imagine, though, at some point this thing probably does come back down and revisit 475. So again, you know, Finex, a different exchange, so it's got like different price price action being represented going on over here. So fair enough. Alrighty, so let's get over to let's see Mr. Buterol over here. So taking a dump with the rest of the market last night. Again, we spoke about last night on how if you take out the 21 exponential, then the retest of this area is going to be a nice short, and that was the retest. This wick right here counts as a retest in my opinion, and that is a rejection so far. Yeah, this guy right here, that is a rejection. So overall, I'm looking at this, and I do have a measure move actually pointing us all the way down to the bottom of this symmetrical triangle right here at around 195 area. So overall, this thing does look like it wants to come down. It's still kind of acting as a symmetrical triangle, so I will treat it as one. The volume characteristics are right. It's behaving like one. So, you know, you can treat it like one until it basically doesn't. If you break below about 190, yeah, let's call it 194. If you break below 194, then this thing will, you know, it does have a measure move pointing you all the way down to about 130. If you break it above, what is it, about 214, then you have a measure move taking you back to this kind of a block right here at about 280-ish area, give or take a few bucks. So overall, you know, Mr. Buterol, small-term direction, short-term direction down. Your next support is right here at around 202.5, which we spoke about last night. You bounced off that in the early morning hours, but I think if you come back to this area, it doesn't look too strong to me. Do we have any sort of divergence on like a 4-hour? 4-hour looks like a nice rejection right there is what it looks like. No divergence on a 4-hour. What about a 2-hour? 2-hour, no divergence either. I think if you come back down to this 202.5 area, you probably do break it, and your next support would be right around here, right around 198 even. And maybe even get a wick down and complete the full-on measure move on this guy, because this does look like a head and shoulders over here. It's a lazy one, but it does work as one. It just looks like distribution is what it really is, and that's really all, you know, a head and shoulders pattern is telling you. It's telling you about distribution more than anything. Okay, so cool. Let's get on over to good old GBTC. What did he do last night? Yeah, GBTC what the fuck? Okay, this is interesting. All right, there was just wicks galore on that bitch. So GBTC is confirming the break of the 21 exponential right here. It gave you a second chance to actually re-short this area, and yes, we are kind of more close to the overall support of this guy at around $6.81.5, which I would relate to the 6150 support on Bitcoin as well. So again, you know, if we do break this area, that would probably be a leading indication for Bitcoin likely to break its major support as well. Again, living below all major moving averages, you had that nice island top being put in right here, right below your horizontal that we spoke about being oh so important to get above. Rejecting that area just does not look good to me. This looks like it wants to come lower. Your daily Stokes are just about to cross the downside as well when you're nearing a major support. That's not fucking good. Daily RSI getting back into the bear zone, getting back below the exponential right there. That's not fucking good. I mean, you even have some I don't like using that term, but hidden bearish divergence, if you really want to say it. Just like we saw in Bcash over here. I mean, Bcash had a great example of some hidden bearish divergence. And this is one of the few times where I'd actually accept it as hidden bearish divergence. Best seen on the hourly on this drive right here versus this drive right here. Just couldn't fucking do it. So again, in the context of a downtrend, you know, I typically don't pay attention to hidden bearish divergence, but that was one of the ones where I said, okay, this one's kind of likely to play out. Now we do have something very interesting going on in the longs and shorts of it all right here on Finex. Again, I don't really care as much about these kind of metrics anymore, because I don't think Finex makes up or doesn't really drive the markets. But and I think it's just one of those talking points for like most YouTubers and crypto Twitter people to be like, hey, we have bearish divergence on the shorts. It's going up. It's like, all right, well, let's see how that works for you. Anyways, take it, you know, losing a little bit of longs over here, not too much. Again, you know, nowhere near the critical zone, but we do have some people underwater, which is interesting. A lot of longs going up on November the 3rd, where price action was about $50 higher, $50 to like $80 higher. So those people are underwater right now. Shorts over here taking another fucking nosedive off the cliff, 19,000. So this is interesting to me because we have shorts jumping off the fucking cliff, right? And price action is either flat to down, which is not fucking good. So what does that mean? What does that imply? Well, that implies that actually that actually what's happening is people are actually selling the spot underline. Now we do have an interesting situation with Tether once again. Tether coming back into play. Now a full almost 3 cents below parity right now. Again, this thing typically retains its dollar pegging within about 4 decimal points of $1. And last month it kind of spent the whole month actually below $1, getting all the way down to 85 cents, then crawling all the way back to $1, and now coming back down in the last couple of days. So again, once again, another thing to consider. Tether, kind of one of the backbones of this this market. You have to always be wondering in the back of your mind, okay, what happens if Tether really does, if there's any sort of implosion, if there's any sort of, big fuck ups with this sort of thing. I know that Phoenix has like some sort of a 3% fee with Tether right now, so that's also coming into play. But it's always a wild card is what I'm trying to get across. So it's just one of those things that you just have to be aware about. Overall, I mean, we got the fucking trans USD over here. Tell me more about your transformation. It's one of those things for the fucking social justice warriors. But again, at the end of the day, this is scary. It is scary. You have to be wondering, as a bigger account, why would people be trusting of this asset, which is supposed to hold its dollar pegging when it floats around with pretty consistency on a pretty consistent basis now, just not fucking good. So when it comes down to it, on Tether, it's just one of the, it seems to me, whether it doesn't matter if it's even legitimate or not legitimate. The fact that it can actually do this is going to cause panic in and of itself. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy in a sense. Again, it comes down to the psychology of it. So I'll just kind of leave it at that. Let's go check on SPYs over here. SPYs, we said, we're likely to kind of remain in a range between about 272 and 279 this week. And so far, so good. A little bit of droopiness to kind of end the day is what it looks like to me. But overall, still kind of retaining that range. I don't think that we're going to see a major move on SPYs until at least December and probably January is what I'd be saying. Weekly over here giving up last week's gains, in just a couple of days. So that's good, right? But again, overall, this thing does look like it has much more room to go down. But I think it's going to take some time for this thing to come down. We can see that over here, it's back into the bear zone on the weekly RSI, living below the exponential, rejecting the neutral zone. So to me, it wants to come further down. Is it likely to do that this week? I would say, well, this looks like it really does want to come down. So I might actually be changing my tune on that. Also, your daily Stokes are about to cross over as well, rejecting the more critical zone. So I'm gonna say that I think my initial read on this was wrong. I think we're gonna come down lower throughout the rest of the week. Maybe even revisit the prior lows right around 263 and a half. So I'm actually going to mark this area off and kind of keep myself accountable for this one. I already have it right there. So I believe that we're coming right there. I'm going to put a nice arrow onto it. Yes, we do have support right over here, of course, around 270 and a half that we're currently resting on, but it looks to me like we want to break it. And it is kind of interesting that both cryptocurrencies and regular markets are kind of looking like they want to revisit their lows of the last few months together. They're doing it with hands holding. They're saying, all right, let's go jump back and test them and let's see who the fuck wants to hold it up. Or maybe there's no fucking hedge and they just trade the same because it's basically the same people fucking trading both of them, and it's a risk on asset with cryptocurrency, and so actual investors treat them as the same. Are people just going to magically buy cryptocurrencies when the stock market crashes? I would say that the data so far would be on the other side of that equation. They'd be saying no. So again, I'm going to call it right now. I'm going to say I think we're likely to kind of take a stab down at 263 and a half. Higher time frames do want to come lower here, and I think I'm going to be wrong about the range this week. I think that this thing wants to come lower. Yeah. I mean, well, then again, is it going to break 269 and a half? That's pretty strong support right there. That is pretty damn strong support. Yeah, I might be getting ahead of myself here. This might be something to be aware of for next week, but man, the daily really does look like it wants to come down. I am very confident that we will that we will at least come back down to about 269. Do we break that area or not is I suppose a better question, and I would say right here, right now, I'd be leaning towards it, but hey, I could certainly be wrong on that. If we do break this area, then yes, 263 and a half is the next area to be aware of. So yeah, again, a delicate situation. You're gonna have to watch that one closely throughout the rest of the week. There's gonna be some fireworks inbound, it looks like, actually. But again, the big breakdown, I think is still like, it's probably unlikely to happen until at least December, probably January, I'd be imagining. Okay, anyways, let's get back on over here. Let's go check out Ripple Me Timbers over here. Ripple Me Timbers taking a little bit of a nosedive back down, rally over, I think joining the rest of the market. Again, no decoupling in sight. And to me, it looks like it actually does want to come lower here, probably come back down and at least test 50 and a half cents. But I think it's probably coming back down to fill out this area over here and put in some sort of formation, consolidate between this current area and about 49 and a half cents. I think this thing's very likely to come back down to about 49 and a half cents right now. This rejection over here, not too good. Bearish divergence on a 4-hour time frame. That typically is going to play out with a nice move. And again, I'm looking down around here, a little bit under 50 cents. We'll call it let's just call it 49.75 cents. There we go. Alrighty, let's see what else we have to talk about. We covered Bcash, we covered XRP, we covered Buterol. What other altcoins are there in the fucking world? I don't even know of the other altcoins, but you know what? Fair enough. Let's get back onto Bitcoin over here and kind of wrap this bitch up. I'll do this on, kind of complete this on GDAX over here. So yeah, the 4-hour does look like it wants to continue and give a formal test to 63.13. Keep in mind that is a critical area where the 3-day 200 exponential is. If Bitcoin does close tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern time below 63.13, quite literally that number, there is once again one of those doomsday scenarios available. And I would say that if you do have a confirmed kill of the 3-day 200 exponential, which again is going to take, at least half a week, that would actually be probably enough for me. It would be the same thing as smashing through 6150 on a daily to low time frame with heavy volume, on its side. I would be considering those essentially the same thing, and I probably would take a starter short position if we do close below 63.13 at end of day. But for me, I kind of look at this area as like a zone right now for intraday. I think that we do rally back up, and I think that it's very likely that we test 63.13. I mean, that's it's fucking $30 up now. The ranges are so tight now, man. It's just silly. But if you can't close above there, then yeah, 63.30 is the next area that I'll be looking towards. I mean, this is how silly it's getting. And then above there, you got this area right here, another $30 up to 63.60. So again, range is tight. By the same token, I don't think it happens today, but 62.50 your support. If 62.50 breaks, then I don't see anything holding you up from about 61.50ish areas. So that actually be a nice trade to the downside. Again, all I'm doing over here to just kind of confirm myself, just trading options. Haven't really made any trades on BitMEX. I mean, I just don't really see the opportunity right now. So overall, this is all I'm doing. This is what I'm focusing on. A little bit of a put spread there too. Maybe those lottery puts come into play at some point in time. But overall, short-term direction up for intraday action. I think by end of day, you probably do get a rejection of 63.13, and if that happens, I probably will take a starter position. On this asset coming into the next half week. So again, that's what I'm looking at right here. That's what I'm kind of focusing on. Again, tune in tonight. We're gonna have Crypto West on. Really looking forward to that. I think it's gonna be really who actually does this as a profession, does this as a living, to kind of talk through and to just shoot the shit, man. It's gonna be cool to actually have some podcast style shit go down. So again, guys, that's gonna do it for today. Look forward to seeing you later tonight, and take care.